So I start a little bit on the higher level. I will start talking about design of diversified cropping system, because not all aspects of diversity that we need we can access at the level of cropping systems at the field level crops that we grow. And also I start on high level, on national, and then moving back to landscape and field level, but it will not be just to say something, but because it will be linked to my research, our research project that we initiate. It will be focused on Central and Eastern Europe, and we need collaborators. Maybe you can assist us in making such contacts. And in addition, I will touch a little bit on outputs of our Visegrad grants. We had 2 Visegrad grants, and basically many outputs that you have mentioned, what you want a map of permaculture centers, event calendar, Facebook group, mailing list, newsletter. We have started that and we have maintained it for some times, but then it's discontinued because of the burnout and the lack of resources. And even the website, which has a lot of useful information, a lot of outputs, like all the presentations were recorded. It was permaculture for farmers, permaculture for academia, community-supported agriculture, the map of these permaculture centers, permaculture and polyculture. So even this web page does not work now. It was hosted by Slovak permaculture site, and we hope that it could be somehow renewed later on, or maybe hosted on our site. So many of these links are unfortunately not functional, but we hope that they will become functional soon after this event. So as an academic, I will present some academic insights, and you can hopefully and possibly use it for advocating your actions when you communicate with farmers, when you communicate with communities, maybe even when you write your grant application. You can use some data from research publications. All these publications are referenced. So this first slide I took from famous researcher, biodiversity researcher from Germany, and like the most important numbers here is that we need to sustain biodiversity. We need more than 20% of semi-natural habitats. Then another important number that to promote heterogeneity, the size of the fields should be up to 6 hectares. So that is already a good number and a good approximation if you develop regional policies. And another important thing that all that 20% of semi-natural habitats, they should be homogeneously distributed across farm and across landscapes, which require collaborative actions of farmers in the region. So you do need to cooperate. And another important consideration that there are 2 ways to increase natural suitability of our landscapes, our regions for nature. It's land sharing and land sparing. One, when we create shelter belts, flower strips to make our agriculture field more friendly for nature, and another when we just don't touch zone 5, leave it for nature, and each of that play a role and it cannot be replaced. We need both at the same time. And this is one of the output. We had this conference, Polycultures and Permaculture, in 2022. Many Visegrad participants participated, and we made a resolution. At that time it was a little bit naive. I have sent it to MPs of all countries in the regions. I even received one feedback, I think, from Czech Republic, so they were the most open to collaboration. But we tried to give like this scientific reasoning and what is good about using academic argumentation, that we can demonstrate the benefits not just on one field, on one study, but on collective studies. So, for example, there is one collective study that based on analysis of almost 1,000 publications, which show that diversified systems, which we called polycultures here, they produce here it doesn't have 23% more food, more energy, and they occupy less lands. So another important aspect, that apart from these floral strips, shelter belts, and other semi-natural habitats, we also the small patches of individual trees or group of shrubs or grass patch, they are also very important to sustain diversity of small animals, in particular those parasitoids, the small wasps that acts as biocontrol. And spiders and other small organisms, they don't distribute as birds far. They don't fly far as like bees or birds. They spread around 500 meters. Therefore, if we want this good, useful biocontrol organism to go deep in our field, we need to establish this. There is a term stepping stone habitats, that species can like step from one stone to another and go deep inside our field, or cross these arable landscapes full of arable field and move between natural habitats. So we address it in our project. We will map the soil quality and erosion potential of land in this region, Central and Eastern Europe, and we give farmers recommendations which patches could be allocated for creating these semi-natural habitats. And for Ukraine, we suggest to transform some explosion craters into these semi-natural habitats, create like these islands of trees and shrubs which increase biodiversity. So we, apart from like common paradigma that we need to restore all land and return it to cultivation, some of this land we will establish as a semi-natural habitat to increase biodiversity, so the farmer will not ideally lose yield, even if he or she allocate up to 8% of arable field to semi-natural habitat, as shown in this study, that it can even increase overall field productivity. And here above you, you can see the policy goals of Ukraine at that time, and now just remember that they are super ambitious, just like 2% increase of meadows and this silvopastoral system, shelter belts, just 2% increase of forest stand, just like 5-10%. Okay, this is a little bit better increase of arable lands. And as we see on these slides, so these are a Green Deal, European Green Deal indicators, so it would be very beneficial for us, for Ukraine. It is already very beneficial for us, the European integration, because our government is obliged to follow these more ambitious recommendations, and this looks very nice and promising to me, that we need to, 1/3 of the land we need to conserve, to return to close to natural state. 1/4 of land should be under organic production. It's not here, but 10% of land should be allocated to semi-natural habitats, these flower strips and shelter belts, that we need to reduce all chemical fertilizers by half. And these are the goals, the targets by 2030. Most likely we will not achieve many of them, but this is very good direction, to my opinion, and we need to understand that we are very lucky being here in this part of the world, in Europe, in the European Union, that our policy are to very much extent driven by evidence-driven policies, driven by research recommendations. I do know that by working as a researcher, you can communicate your findings to policy members, to committees. It's not easy, it requires some work, but it's possible. And in permaculture, we also know that you cannot just teach permaculture and people will go to the field and do everything and everything will work. It's an experiment. This is also an experiment. We are part of this big experiment, and that's why I think that permaculture very much connected with this Green Deal. So if we promote permaculture, we should also promote the European integration and the Green Deal. Even so that in Europe it's kind of official free market, free movement of goods, so we know that it's not maybe that much free, but after, especially after COVID, there is even more tendency to regionalization of food production, where the community, the people understood that we need to grow most of our food in the close vicinity to municipalities, to the cities, and potentially even within the countries, the market will be very much localized. So most of the food production will be concentrated about these cities and about municipalities. And this map I have made when after this trade war, okay, not trade war, when Polish farmers blocked Ukrainian borders, just to demonstrate how drastically different the production system in Poland and in Ukraine. I took these two municipal regions, one close to Warsaw and one close to Kyiv, and you can see like what is the difference in the field size, in distribution of this green vegetation. So of course, and often, especially at this time of the year, all Ukrainian Facebook is filled by selfies made in these sunflowers. But as permaculture people, we understand that this is not good. This is monoculture. This is a huge, big field of monoculture. And we already know from research publications that we don't have simply enough pollinators to sustain yield of these pollinator-dependent crops. And one of the biggest constraints for the European integration of Ukraine would be our agriculture sector, because we will be in direct competition, especially from the countries in this region, in Central and Eastern European region. So we have a very big challenge how to motivate farmers to decrease food production. In permaculture we say grow food, and I say don't grow food, grow something else, transform your agricultural lands to semi-natural habitats. Even when I talk with my academic Ukrainian colleagues, they say, okay, after the war we will restore all the land and we will feed all Europe. Any country from this region can easily feed all Europe. Europe does not want to be fed by Ukraine. So we need to reduce food production and to grow something else on this land. Of course, one would be increasing of these semi-natural habitats, and another, so we need to grow something that will be mostly used on internal market. One of that would be energy crops. And we have this component of profitability and infrastructure modeling of bioenergy production, because this should be done at the regional level, that you need to assess all kind of bioenergy feedstock, all kind of residues that you get from agriculture, from forestry operation, estimate how much additional energy crops you need to grow, because these production facilities, they have certain capacity and you need to sustain this capacity at the regional level. But here we need to switch on the permaculturist, that this system should be also diversified, and if we just follow this Green Deal goal, plant 3 billion trees, it could be one variety of trees, and if we just follow the indicator of soil carbon sequestration, of course you can sequester a lot of carbon with monocultures. But therefore it's very important, and when you will have an opportunity, when you will be at some events where they discuss some kind of upscaling, something of monoculture system, you need to think, you need to translate our permaculture system to these indicators that are used, for example, in the European Nature Restoration Regulations. So, for example, these are butterfly index, these are water conservation in agro-landscape. So, if people just say about that we sequester that much carbon, you ask what is about biodiversity. Does your system support biodiversity? And from this picture that we see that we can design systems with understory, or maybe we can design system with integration of livestock. So here I gave the link to video mosaic landscapes that we produced within this Visegrad partnership, where we presented our vision, how this landscape could look like. It's actually exists in 4 languages, in 5 languages, Ukrainian and 4 languages from your country, so you can watch it. And here I just show the situation with research on profitability study of bioenergy production, and we took countries which are most dependent on Russian supply of fossil fuel. As a reference, Ukraine, which has 17 publications. Hungary has just 2 publications. 2 publications from Scopus from the whole studies in Hungary. Could you imagine that? Slovakia has just 4 publications, and one of that researcher is actually Ukrainian. So you can see how the dependency of fossil fuel impact politics, and how politics impact research. We think that research is independent. I don't think that it's independent. But we need to think up front. We plan restoration after the war, but you need to plan increase of sustainable energy production, including bioenergy production, after right-winged politicians, when the liberal politicians come. And at that time you need to have models, you need to have solutions that you can easily upscale. We don't have partners from Slovakia and Hungary for profitability modeling of bioenergy production. If you can assist us to find these partners, we are very welcome to invite them to our ongoing Horizon application. So this is the vision of sustainable landscapes that we integrate in our application. As I already told, that we really need a homogeneous distribution of natural habitats, some individual trees or groups serving as a stepping stone habitats or as biocorridors. We need to increase water holding capacities of agro-landscapes. We need to collect all water which goes in season, and we all know now that the precipitation pattern change. We receive a lot of rain in autumn, in winter. A lot of precipitation in winter come not as snow, but as rain when the ground is frozen and it's just go down. It does not stay on land. So here I just show one system, which is key line or master line system. We would like to, it's based on land topography. Just having topographic map, you can plan where you install these ponds and where you install the swales, and there is also certain ploughing pattern. So we need an expert who can implement this system. Yeah, sorry, I just put a reminder, but I was told that I have a little bit more time, so I continue. In many of our countries, we have an extensive network of shelter belts that were established during planet economy, and it's big resource for us, but they are often in not very good situation because, of course, after planet economic collapsed, there was no resources to maintain them, and also at the time they were mostly established from 1 or 2, 3 species, same age, so they just becoming old, and when they become old, they become diseased, and the solution now is to cut the whole shelter belts and to plant the new one. So we would like to develop solutions that we into existing shelter belts, we like existing degraded, partly degraded shelter belts, we integrate small modules, like vegetation rich modules, which support a high diversity of animals, including biocontrol organisms, and also create a beautiful agro-landscape. What I forgot to say, but I can say it now, that if we think what kind of agro-landscape in Europe and in Ukraine will be in future, so it will serve at least 3 roles. One role is food production. Second role is reconnecting us with nature, that we feel that this is something, this is memorable. We just don't drive and see orchard, and then something will change, another orchard, and nothing to remember. But it should be lakes, beautiful shelter belts, standalone trees. There is one project in Czech Republic that we visited. The farmer was specifically motivated to plant big, like modern orchard has the small trees, and he was motivated to plant big, beautiful, nice tree with big scrone, because they serve as this landscape landmark. Livestock integration, so having beautiful landscape, and via this nice landscape, all people, not only those who are involved into farming, could reconnect with nature. And one of the way how we suggest it, that people will participate in establishing and in funding the establishment of these semi-natural habitats. I think that people would be the most motivated to support the establishment of biocorridors, because everyone like nature, like animals. I think that they will be more motivated, but they will be also motivated in shelter belts, in floral strips. So one of the ideas that part of these shelter belts that have the potential of natural regeneration, they will be transformed, they will be widened and fenced and transformed into biocorridors. And here we already faced the challenge, because when I try to communicate this idea to my academic colleagues, they don't understand what I mean. I think that permaculture people can better understand, because we have this model of community-supported agriculture, where people participate financially or participate by giving hands in production. So we would like to kind of adjust this system to semi-natural habitats, but even to higher, wider access. Scale, that it will be not physical, not only physical presence, that person can come and see, okay, this is the part of shelter belt or floral strips that was established by my support with my money, not necessarily even by farmer. Maybe there will be a regional company that will assist in establishing this semi-natural habitats by hobby farmers, but also diaspora and displaced Ukrainians. For us it's a big problem, because many millions of Ukrainians, they will stay abroad. We want them to keep connection with their homeland. If they would can observe how their actions impact biodiversity. It could be visualization. So, for example, we consider that we could develop a tool like a 3D or virtual reality tool that can help a person to embed themselves into this landscape and see what happens if I add more trees, or if I establish these floral strips, or if I add more flowers, how does it change the diversity of insects, birds, how does it change the colors through the season. For that, it's very few academic research about hobby farming in general, but I hope that I could find someone motivated from permaculture community who could develop this idea. And a big part of our ongoing application is development of agroforestry, extensive systems that could be also integrated in war damaged agro landscapes, if it will be not food trees, if it will be extensive systems, for example, timber production. We have this policy of green restoration, meaning that we will use sustainable wood for restoring of damaged buildings, damaged infrastructure, but still the funders lack this understanding where this sustainable wood come from. They think that the wood should come from the forest, but as ecologists or as permaculturists, we should understand that forest should be for nature, and timber building trees should be grown on agricultural lands in agroforestry systems. So moving closer to biodiversity, there are three dimensions of biodiversity. What can we do in on plot, field, farm, and territory? Its temporal dimensions, like the duration of crop rotation, and what kind of crops we include in this crop rotation. If you are talking about this bioenergy production, willow or poplar, its frequency of lodging, and it's also species diversity. When we talk about species, it's not only what we grow, what we plant, but it's also associated biodiversity. It's what comes in from outside, inside our system, and it could be something good biocontrol organism or something bad, weeds. But we know that bad is not 100% bad. We know that weeds support to higher extent insects as food source and as shelter, pollinators and biocontrol organisms. So one of the solutions that we propose in our proposal is spontaneous rewilding. where we find land which, for example, close to diverse shelter belts or close to natural reserves, and seeds could come from this place and slowly colonize this arable land, and it will turn in something closer to nature. But of course, during the first year, it will be big explosion on weeds, especially on Ukrainian soil in the eastern Ukraine, where we have this Chernozem, super fertile soil. But by understanding that, okay, weeds, it's disservice, we need to control them somehow, but insects that feed on these weeds is positive service that will grow, their diversity will grow, and they will also increase the productivity of our crops. So we can study this balance, and we could advocate for farmers that okay, so this is the picture that you get, and based on that we could calculate what kind of, how big should be the support to encourage a farmer to allocate part of the land for rewilding. Yeah, so these are basically just main semi-natural habitats. We mostly address flower strips and shelter belts. But also for maybe for riparian buffers, we will do the mapping to find where the area that should be allocated to this vegetation that protect the river or stream banks illegally taken for agricultural activities, and we would suggest communities that this should be your first focus, the first land where you should develop something extensive, something tree-based or pasture, or ideally give it back to nature. Yeah, I think that I already talked about these stepping stones and biocorridors. If you would like to present complex benefits of diversified cropping system or polycultures, you could also find a lot of information from articles, from academic literature, which assess it's really very, very complex, from resource conservation, water, to better nutrient use, to better weed control and pest control, increasing useful biocontrol organisms, but also social aspects like higher role of a farmer in decision making, where farmer produce more diverse product, it less depend on monopolies which can set certain price on certain crop, and it will be better protected from climate crisis. In research in academic sector, there are two main mechanisms which explain higher productivity of polycultures. First is niche and resource complementarity, which we know very good from permaculture. Maybe just one thing to add here, that we often just look at morphology plants, like combining tall and short plants, or tall plants and wavy plants, but we also need to sometimes check the chemical complementarity. For example, plants can use different chemical form of phosphorus, and they will not compete that much. Important aspect that even though that in permaculture we often use such term as companion and antagonists, there are no such terms in almost not used in academia, because interactions between plants can change And usually there is beneficial interaction for one thing, one resource, but negative interaction for some other resource. Or it could change during the growth of the plant. So for example, growing together cereals and legumes, wheat for example and pea, at the early stages when before leguminous crop establish nitrogen fixing organs on the roots, they use nitrogen from the soil and they compete with the crop, but later when the plant's growing bigger, the situation changes. So at every situation we need to check the overall balance and how in some does these crops help together or does they compete, and if they compete, how we can reduce this competition. I will talk about this a little bit later. And the second process enabling high productivity of polyculture is ecological facilitation. When one plant makes one resource more accessible to another, or make conditions better for another, like microclimate better for another plants. So you know most of this. Maybe I just draw your attention that regarding the nitrogen transfer between leguminous crop and other, for example, cereal crop, the transfer occur not only after leguminous crop die and it biomass decompose, but also when the crops are alive, because what is this? Because a lot, up to 40% for some leguminous crop of their resource, what they produce by photosynthesis, is exudated in the soil to attract microorganisms, and also plants, the roots die during the life cycle of the plants, so this is fastly decomposed and become available by neighboring crops. And also mycorrhiza play a role in nitrogen transfer between living plants. Also for phosphorus facilitation, mycorrhiza play a role by both extending the root surface, but also by transferring phosphorus between the crops. And in permaculture, sometimes we use the term of hydraulic lifting for water facilitation. It's mostly known from tropical climate, when deep-rooted plant that grown in drought conditions, it excrete or exude some of the water in the for its shallow roots to make them alive, and this water might become available for neighboring plants. But I want to warn that this process mostly shown for tropical environment, and for temperate we still need to study this. Now coming to polyculture design, what you usually use when you design polyculture in academic terms is called trait-based design, based on characteristics, on the structure of plants, the structure of the roots, the length of the roots, the type of the rooting system, the type of shooting systems, and some metabolic processes then occur in plants. You can just mechanically combine plants by opposite characteristics, and this way you can increase this ecological complementarity. And there are researchers that traits are very good predictors of ecological interaction. So just knowing the size of the insects, you can, without knowing the species, you can predict the flight distance of these insects. So usually we combine crops with opposite traits, but sometimes we should combine combine crops with similar traits, for example, mycorrhization, that they will support mycorrhiza development on one to another, and also fungal bacterial ratios. So we can combine by this soil microbial potential. And here I just show you the traits of the main three families that are used as cover crops. So you can see that only cereals and legumes of these two groups support mycorrhizal symbiosis, and brassica crops, they are not mycorrhizal, and they can even suppress mycorrhiza development. I don't know how it is in this region, but in Ukraine, when we see cover crops, maybe it's radish, it's forage radish. So it can build biomass, it can control soil pathogens, but we need to keep in mind that it can also suppress mycorrhiza development. And to mitigate this, we could add these other two groups to this polyculture, even though that the growth of these plants might be suppressed by brassica crops, but still they enable support of mycorrhiza and better growth of your food crop that you plant after these cover crops. And in this tool, you could see how does this trait-based approach used to design to select cover crops and possibly to design cover crop combinations based on cover crop impact on soil structure. So it's not one trait, it's complex of trait, and on weed control. And so this is one tool that I use in my teaching. I teach agrobiodiversity and design of crop polyculture at the master program Constructive Ecology and Permaculture. This tool is called the serious game Interplay, which helps you to design rotation schemes with cereal and legume crops. You can access this game, download it, and if you work with students, if you work with farmers, it would make your interactions much more fun and interesting for farmers. At least my students are always excited about this game. So here I just want to show you how you can use this trait-based approach to predict cereal protein content based on cereal biomass and later nitrogen uptake. So it's really important that nitrogen is supplied at the later stage when the grain when the grain grow, and of course in a sustainable system you provide this later nitrogen supply by leguminous plants, and here we need to know carbon to nitrogen ratio of your legume crop and also biomass of this crop. So this very simple mechanic model based on traits could help you to calculate nitrogen supply. This is the tool that I developed. It helps you to design polycultures with vegetables and spice and aromatic crops. So here I combined the trait-based approach and empirical approach. First, trait-based approach, I took data from three sources, two databases which I think you are very well familiar. It's a Natural Capital Plant database and Plant for a Future database. These are kind of polyculture databases of plant traits. And the third is tree academic database. It is useful because it contains individual observation. So you could really calculate the value of your trait based on individual data. And second is empirical data. Empirical means experiential or experiment-based data. So I took this data from analysis of academic publications on possible aromatic plants that can be grown together with vegetables or spice and aromatic crops that could be used mostly for suppressing weeds and pests. I have several hundred of this combination. It's integrated in my tool, and also I surveyed farmers what combinations they use in practice, and from that you can access the how they combine these crops in space and time. What is specific about my tool that it help you design from your main cash crops. So at the first stage you don't think about what kind of soil conditions, light, moisture you have. You just say that I want to grow these 5 main crops. And then by adding at every steps more and more companions, and at certain steps by grouping them by soil and light and other requirements, you design the system that supports the growth of particularly your cover crops, the main cash crops, the main crops that you use for trade, for business. Of course, the best tool, the most predictive capacity tool will be those that based on experimental data. When you organize a lot of experiment, collect this data, and this is an example of a tool used to design crop rotation. So they study different combination of crops, with service crops, with different management, with tilling, without tilling, different residues management. Do you add straw? Do you add compost? And they analyze the parameters on soil quality, soil nutrient content, and weed situation at the beginning and at the end of each. It's called crop production activity. So by knowing all this range of parameters, you can combine these activities and create your own rotation schemes. But of course, for that you need to perform a lot of experiments. Another option is to use the rules. So in this tool, it's a tool for designing cover cropping system. The land, the plots are combined into 17 groups based on their main characteristics like water logging, soil nutrient status, and by knowing these groups, you can design this group your plots into groups, and also from experience, you know that in this condition you cannot grow this cover crop. So the growing season is that long. So this is a rule-based approach. And of course, the best which we know from permaculture is mimicry of natural system. So we mimic not that much species combinations, but the function that exists in this natural system. So here I just give a slide how these ecological rules could be translated in the rules understandable by growers. The one application of this rule is when you replace the plant which you see in natural communities but functionally similar cultural plants. You replace tree by tree, nitrogen fixer by nitrogen fixer, vine by vine, and create the design this way. Another approach might be that you study the natural community, the natural guild, and you study the useful characteristics of these plants and try to utilize all these useful characteristics. So, for example, here they, in the community of yellow horn, they organized medicinal properties of plants that grow with it, and some of them are nitrogen fixers. So this system could be ecologically sustainable, but also profitable. In permaculture, we often use term guilds, but in ecology there are different definition of guild. What we talk about in permaculture, it's a mutual support guild, when we combine plants that provide resources or better growth conditions for each other. Another guild, it's resource sharing guilds. For example, it's the group of pollinators that pollinate particular crops, particular group of crops. And this logic could be also useful for us. So, for example, if we want to increase pollination of pollinator-dependent crop, we could design floral strips that is pollinated by the same pollinators. And we can, the third already definition of this guild, it's when we combine plants for performing certain specific functions. So, for example, in this case, it's the guild designed for pest control. So it contains repellent crop, which repel pest, and it's planted within your main crop, and then attractant plant, which planted on the side of your crop field, which is more attractive to your pest. So it's repelled from your crop and go to this more attracting species. One of these sort of these attractant plants are decoy plants that decrease fecundancy or propagation efficiency of your pests. So, for example, they lack certain nutrients, have nutrient disbalance, and pests just don't provide so much progeny, or they don't live so long. And of course, you, as we know in permaculture, you try to select multifunctional elements. So each of these repellent and attractant plants should perform additional functions. So, for example, in this system designed for corn, for tropical climate, the repellent plant Desmodium is also nutrient fixer, and it also suppresses the development of parasitic weed striga. And attractant plant is elephant grass, which is used as feed for animal. And there are also insectary plants which support either beneficial. Let's say like this. There are insectary plants. There are flowering plants that produce nectar and pollen for pest control organisms, because adult wasps, they need this. And there are also nursery plants that host pests, which does not affect our main crops, but which serve as a food source for our biocontrol organism. And when you design your polyculture with this nursery plant, it's a good strategy when you select the nursery plant which built up pest population before pests occur on your main crop. That's this way the population of biocontrol organism could increase to sufficient level before the pests start to affect your main crop. In ecology, there is such term as a keystone species. It's the species that either create microclimate that support establishing the diversity of plants next to it or beneath it, or provide food source for high diversity of organisms. So these keystone species, they largely define the diversity of organisms in your ecosystem. One way how could you recognize what is the keystone species in your system is to check the pest damage. As I already told, that keystone species is food source for many organisms, including pests. If this tree is highly damaged, it's a very good chance that this is a keystone species. And for example, here I show the common oak. In our climate, it's a keystone species, and foresters often avoid using this species, for example, in shelter belts or in forest restoration, because it's highly affected by pests. But if we want to increase biodiversity, it's a good sign for us that it sustains that many organisms. And we know, for example, if we want to sustain butterflies, we also need to tolerate some damage from butterfly caterpillars which eat leaves. Another approach is to mimic the best cropping practices, the best cropping systems. And here I show you one cropping system. It's cover cropping systems developed for pecan orchard in the USA. This system was designed to have low maintenance, it has minimum tillage. It was designed to support a diversity of biocontrol organisms, to prevent moisture loss under trees, and also to be suitable for not harvesting from the ground. For the later application, it includes so-called sod-forming grass. So sod, it's kind of lawn, it's small grass. So it has this system consists of two elements. So one is the cover crop which you grow under tree crown, and the second is cover crop that you grow in the alley. So the crop which is planted in the alley, it has a high percentage of leguminous plant. For that reason, after you mow it, it decomposes fast. And by the time when you need to collect nuts, it's already decomposed. And the second crop in succession, which is this sod-forming grass, it's create like nice lawn from which you can collect your nuts. Of course, you should mow your cover crops in strips, not all together, to give some habitat for beneficial organisms. And also you should mow your cover crops when at least part of the seeds from your leguminous plants are mature, so that it can self-seed. If you want to self-seed it to the next, across all alley, you could load the straw to the strip which was mowed before. And the second part of the system is the cover crop which is grown under tree crown. It is designed not to compete with tree for moisture. Therefore, it grows big biomass in autumn when we have a lot of rain, and it dies early in spring. Then this system which grown in the alley, it includes some vine crops, and this vine spread on top of this mulch, so it built up a lot of biomass. It die in spring. In summer, it's covered by this vine crops, and in addition, you can put some biomass that you mow here also on top of that. So you literally create a rhizome bed under the trees, and of course no weed can go through this thick layer of biomass. You can remodel known polycultures. So we all know this three-sister polyculture, maize, beet in squash, and here in tropical climate they replaced maize with okra. It's also the same plant which grows tall. It could serve as a stand, as trellis. The leguminous is replaced by peanut and chickpea being replaced by this, and squash is replaced by dwarf watermelon. And here I show the results of 2 consecutive years, and you see that productivity of all this crop in the system, they are not constant. If I remember correctly, it's only okra and watermelon, they are have high productivity despite of climate, dry or hot. But other crop, if the climate is dry, if the summer is dry, they have lower productivity. And I think that all of you who tried this 3 sister, you know how important is to design spacing between the plants, planting time of relative planting time of each crops, and even selecting the variety. So details are very important to have the system working. If you have a system, for example, if you grow chestnuts or if you grow hazel and you want to produce something very expensive, you can, for example, grow truffle, and then you diversify your system by those plants which establish mycorrhiza with the truffle species that you want to grow, and then as a permaculturist you can check what are the other uses of this species. Could you also collect nuts, or could you collect timber, and design your business respectively. And just at the end, I will talk about, so once you selected the crops which you want to grow, you need to decide how you combine them in time and space. And that could change the balance between competition and facilitation or collaboration. So if your crops are has the least possible competition, they have very similar height, you can grow them all together. Usually this system is used for cover crops. If you want to extend the growing season, you can, for example, combine fast growing crops with slow growing crops. So you harvest the fast growing crops, and then you give the room for slow growing crops to grow. You can, if you, the other way to extend the growing system is to combine 2 crops with short growing seasons, and then you can utilize the whole spring, summer, and autumn. If your crops compete, you could use the relay cropping when you undersow your second crop under the first crop. Usually it is done when the first crop start to wilt, start to die, so there is no competition for resources anymore, and also more light comes to the ground. If you don't want to think about this detail, you design crop rotation. That's the easiest way, but of course if you want to enable some interactions which require physical interaction between plants, so for example phosphate mobilization, then you need to grow them together. And here I just show you how this relay cropping could influence the frost tolerance of the crops, so it can protect crops from the frosts, and it's quite important, I think, in our changing climate, where we really need to think when we have often warm autumn with a lot of precipitation. We need to think how to enable as long as possible crop growth during this autumn. So for example, this way we can grow leguminous quite long, because leguminous plants are sensitive to frost. And then the same logic applies to spatial combination, so less competition between crops, closer you plant them, them. If you want to have some sort of management, you plant it in rows. The roots, they could still interact and they could exchange nutrients, for example. But if you want to automatize this, you often plant it in strips. Here you need to know about efficient distance of interactions, because it has some distance where your beneficial effect extend, and the effect on your crop will be uneven across the strip. Often when you combine tall crop with short crop, the marginal rows of the short crop will grow better just because they have better access to light. You know all about early cropping, when you need to select the crops based on their characteristics. So, for example, you need to select trees that develop deep rooting systems, and you need to apply some management. Sometimes it's root cutting, it's creating high crown, and also design the spacing between the strips to accommodate the machinery that you use for early crop. But this is, to my opinion, an interesting strategy when you have little land and you want to grow the most commercial crops. So, for example, in California they grow almonds, and they want to plant as much almond per unit of land as possible. But still, you can even diversify this system. Remember that I told at the beginning of my presentation about successional diversity. So you can combine the units of mature orchards with the units of young orchards, where you have enough lights to grow some flowering cover crops beneath these trees, and this way you can encourage the pollinators. These are the links to our project websites. I hope that Visegrad partnership will be restored either on Slovak side or on Ukrainian, and I think that we will inform you about that. Thank you. Do we have time for questions, or we just go, Irina?
I have one question, if I may ask. You know that in Ukraine, agro-holdings is has the main amount of land, and according to your opinion, do you think we can somehow pursue them to use such mosaic landscape, maybe one day, just try to imagine future, is it possible at all? And if it is possible, how many years we need to see that those people who only see economical side of agriculture can change their mind?
I think that we should be really creative here. So one way is, of course, to demonstrate them the profitability, economic profitability. Okay, now not many farmers grow insect-pollinated crops, but remember the sunflower fields. But we can test or we can repeat this experiment, that allocation of 8% of fields due to less productive field margins to semi-natural habitats, and we could really establish the modules with very high diversity, because like shrub vegetation, so whatever is considered as a mess, it's usually good habitat for organisms. So if we can show that even though that farmer allocate less land, the productivity does not decline, this would be the solution. The second one would be if we incorporate this hobby farmer approach, because it could be different way to motivate citizens to participate. So one way would be, okay, we have this industrial landscapes, but and farmer agree to to allocate the margin of their field to growing flowers. But you need to rent it and you need to manage it yourself. So if we can organize this system, they could accept this, if they don't lose anything, at least. And the third one is market-based approach. If they want to trade in Europe, in the European Union, they would like to demonstrate that they follow all these regulations, and if the European customer require this, of course, this would be a very good motivation for them.
Thank you. Any other question?
Okay.